Ladies and gentlemen, Michelle's Mobile Media here. Boy, do I have a disgusting story for you. Livingston Sheriff's Deputy, schoolteacher wife, arrested on child pornography charges. By the WAFB staff, so if you guys want to go over there to their website and check it out for yourself, it's WAFB.com, a local channel here. High-ranking Livingston Parish Sheriff's Deputy and his wife, a Livingston Parish school teacher, have been arrested and accused of rape and production of pornography, child pornography. Dennis, 44, and Cynthia Perkins, 34, were arrested as a result of a criminal probe headed up by the Louisiana Attorney General's office. Dennis Perkins, known as Denny, headed up the Livingston Parish Sheriff's Department's Special Operations Units, the SWAT team. Before being terminated this week, his wife Cynthia resigned Wednesday morning from her position as a teacher at the Westside Junior High in Walker. Louisiana Attorney General Jeff Landry released the following statement Wednesday afternoon. "Protecting our children is one of our top priorities," said General Landry. "So my office and I will continue to do all we can to find and arrest child predators." Cynthia Perkins, 34, of Denham Springs, was arrested and booked into the Livingston Parish Detention Center on 60 counts of production of pornography involving a juvenile under the age of 13 and 2 counts of first-degree rape. Dennis Perkins, 44, of Denham Springs, was also arrested and booked into the Sabine Parish Detention Center on obstruction of justice. He's being transported to the Livingston Parish Detention Center, where he will further be booked on 60 counts of production of child pornography involving a juvenile under the age of 13, 2 counts of first-degree rape, 3 counts of possession of pornography involving a juvenile under the age of 13, 2 counts of video voyeurism, and 2 counts of obscenity. Both arrests were the results of a joint investigation with the Louisiana Bureau of Investigations, Louisiana State Police, and the Livingston Parish Sheriff's Office. The investigation was initiated following a tip from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children regarding the possible possession and distribution of child pornography. This is an ongoing investigation. Anyone with information regarding Cynthia or Dennis Perkins is encouraged to contact the LBI toll-free at 1-800-256-4506. Callers may remain anonymous. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is our tax dollars really hard at work, because both of these scumbags get paid by taxpayers' dollars. It's about time they got caught. Sorry it took them so long to catch them. And let me ask you, you still think cops are heroes?
I didn't do that. First of all, thank you all for being here. This is a very difficult time. Our thoughts and prayers are with the victims, which is the most important in this case, and something that we all need to be able to focus on. There's lots of floating around on social media that we want to address. Unfortunately, as the AG continues, this is his investigation. I'm not at liberty to comment, and I will not comment about his investigation. As much as we'd like to put out rumors and misinformation spreading the last couple of days, we will not talk about issues that would hurt this case and jeopardize the justice of these victims. But I am here to answer any questions that you have for me that I need to answer. So please, with that, Any questions, and please let me try to pick you out as we go. So, any questions? Yes, ma'am. Yes, I can. The officer came to me, and it was actually about his stepdaughter. It was a discussion we had, and through that discussion, he was very upset about some inappropriate activity involving his wife and possibly a 14-year-old stepdaughter, as well as Mr. Perkins' stepdaughter. He did not want to make a formal complaint. However, I still questioned Mr. Perkins about it, who denied those accusations. And there was nothing in there that was criminal, no reason to arrest him, as well as I know a third party made the state police aware of this, who basically I had a discussion with and agreed at that time there was nothing criminal, so there was no formal investigation done, there was no criminal activity. So that's where that stopped that.
Sure. Can you tell us why nothing was in his file?
1 second. Finish. Well, anytime you get a complaint, there is a suspicion, right? So you have to go through that. But at the end of the day, there is no crime committed. Therefore, no one is going to be arrested. And the rest of it is basically based off of what his definition of being inappropriate might be. And again, this guy refused to file a complaint. Yes, sir. You had a question. Sorry about that.
It's okay. Yes, sir. Sheriff Chris Nakamoto with WBRZ. The investigative unit actually talked to that officer yesterday in an exclusive interview, and he's refuting a lot of the things you said. Who should the public believe?
Well, this is the thing. He's a law enforcement professional, and all law enforcement officers know one thing, and one thing for a fact: if you don't write it down, it didn't happen. He should be ashamed of himself for not reporting that. Let me finish my answer before you ask me the question. We keep ordering you. Okay. So, again, he should have reported that. But he did have a discussion with me. And I took that upon myself to still do what I call a verbal investigation and question the deputy in question about this, who denied these accusations.
So you did a verbal investigation and
let me rephrase that. I had a verbal conversation with him and asked him about these accusations, which he denied. So now you have his side and Mr. Perkins' side.
So who should the public believe?
Who should the public believe? I'm telling you what the truth is of the fact of the investigation.
Let's rewind.
This is not about me and this offer. This is about some victims, which this thing has got refocused on something else that we shouldn't be focused on. We should be focused on these victims and the crime that's already occurred. But we're going to get all this stuff addressed so we can get on about and focus on what we need to be focused on.
I guess the question is would there have been victims if your office took action in 2014 when that officer met with you?
Christopher, you can't take action on a crime that has not occurred. And there was no crime. I am a law enforcement professional, 28 years of investigation. There was no crime. Louisiana State Police, there was no crime. Hey, look, I would love to have put Dennis Perkins in jail a long time ago if anybody would have known. I ask myself every day, how did this happen? We have deputies going around my office. How did this happen? We don't know. And if we did, it wouldn't have happened. But unfortunately, it did. And it's disgraceful that this guy would do something so unthinkable to these kids.
In 2011, the investigative unit uncovered a restraining order was served to Dennis Perkins by your office. Your office received it and served it to him. Why does your office not have a record of it?
We do have a record that there was a paper served. We looked at that. You and I actually have had a discussion about this. I actually have a piece of paper here, and what actually goes to our civil office is this piece of paper. When you actually contacted me about these records, which I asked you so I can view them because them were unofficial records. The reason I know they was unofficial because those documents have been sealed. I can't get them, so I can't view that protective order. But we do see where it came through our office, through our civil processes with thousands of other papers. And when it comes through there, it's stamped as received, and it was actually served to his attorney. So yes, it did, but unfortunately, it was not. No one said anything to administrator, wasn't reported. So the deputy obviously missed it. He didn't see it, which is common. And in this order, it's wrote as Dennis Wallace Perkins, which he's not known by that. So I can see how it could have been missed. However, I'm not saying that's an excuse. That's the only thing we can come up with. But I do know this. There was no investigation. We had no record on file of anything being reported to the administration.
The restraining order was sealed in 2015. In 2011, that's when it was served. So there was a 4-year window when that document was unsealed. So for 4 years, that restraining order was active.
Yeah, the document, I just told you, the document came through. We wasn't aware of that. Whenever you brought it to my attention, it's been sealed. I couldn't see it. That's why I was asking, can I see the official document?
Are you changing procedures to make sure that copies of restraining
All of
orders...
our stuff, every one of these deputies do the best job they can do. I understand how things can be overlooked. I wish this wouldn't have been overlooked. I wish this would have been investigated. However, at that time, I was not even employed to Lucas Ferry Sheriff's Office. I was on a leave of absence. But I do believe that our former sheriff would have investigated this if it had been brought to his attention. It was not. And let's also be reminded of this. This incident occurred in Baton Rouge. The report was made by a Baton Rouge officer and was not investigated because the victim said she did not want it investigated. You have a question?
Yes.
Again, we're having a discussion about something that wasn't put on paper. Okay? I didn't fathom anything up. I'm telling you the chain of events that happened as I recall it and as I remember. His wife, I'm sorry, the officer at that time told me that it was a suspected affair. No, nothing was given me to prove that that was the case. No phone call, no nothing. It was what his feelings were. So the only reason I have commented on this is because the direct question was asked me about this discussion, and that's why we're talking about this. This has nothing to do with the crime that has occurred. But again, we want to put this to rest. We had that conversation. It was a discussion. He got up. He left. It was over with when he left. I took it upon myself to go ahead and ask those questions, make sure did anything happen? Are you doing anything in improvement? If you are, you better not let me find out. We'll get you. Absolutely not. And this is my question about this deal involving this officer's stepdaughter. Why hasn't the mother of that child come forward? Why has she not made a report? Has she turned this into anybody else? I understand that it was reported to the state police. Why haven't they arrested Dennis Perkins? Why didn't they arrest him 5 years ago? I understand that they were going to be re-looking into the case. I want them to re-look into this case. And if he done something that wasn't brought to our attention back then, he should be arrested for it. He should go to jail for it, just like he did for this crime. I've never turned a blind eye. I've worked at this office for 28 years. I've put more than my share of police officers in jail, and I have used this same comment. It is a sad day when you do that, because when you do that, you're putting someone in jail that you uphold to a high standard, a very high standard. And when you get portrayed by that person, it hurts. You have an office that hurts. And this guy betrayed us. He's not supposed to do these kind of things. He's supposed to be trusted in our community. And now he has basically betrayed us again. I keep saying that word because that is what happened. So it is a sad day when this kind of incident happened. And then, and you got to think about the victim. It's sad for them to have to go through that. You can only imagine what their family's going through.
You just...
No, I have no record of any type of incident involving Perkins. When you look in this file, all Perkins has ever done in this office is promote.
You said a second ago that the woman...
Hang on. What files? Actually, that is going to be released today. Yes, it will be released today. Thank you.
You said a second ago that the girl's mother didn't come forward and file a report, but her stepfather came and met with you. So are you saying that victims of sexual abuse or alleged sexual abuse?
No, see, now you're trying to make up stuff again.
I'm not making up stuff. That's what you said.
I did say that. He is not the biological father of that child.
But it doesn't matter if he had allegations of inappropriate contact.
But he didn't do a formal complaint, Chris.
That meeting with you, he says, was the formal complaint, and you didn't write
And I
anything
took
down.
action, and I did take action. I spoke to him. I had a conversation with Perkins.
But
I can't do interviews on the child, right? Can't do interviews on her because it wasn't a formal complaint. You have to be able to take these children and you have to do a certain type of interview. There's a lot in these investigations. That's why you don't know a lot of them, because we usually don't talk about these type of crimes, because what he did, and he should be ashamed of himself, because you know as a law enforcement officer, what you do not do is you don't ever identify that victim. He should have never identified his stepdaughter. That is just a disgrace to the badge that you would identify a victim like that.
And he would contend that you not doing anything about it is a disgrace to the badge as well. Back to the restraining order.
Excuse me. We're not going to have that kind of conversation. Sir, you have a question?
Sheriff, maybe tell us how this whole case has affected your office, because it seems that you're pointing out maybe some deficiencies in the process of determining whether this officer was fit to be, and how that department and how that reflects it.
That's a whole lot of questions at one time, but I'll do the best I can. Obviously this is, and I said earlier, this is very hurtful to us. You have a lot of people that are walking around saying, how did we not know? And that's common because, we are the guys, we're supposed to pick out people like this. So it's I don't know. I can't answer that question. I don't know how we didn't know. And again, if we'd had any indication at all that this guy was going to do this type of crime, he'd have been dealt with himself. If this actual report would have came through us, I'm very confident what I would have did with this investigation, and he'd be just where he is today. My guys were the ones that went with the AG's office up to North Louisiana to make sure we put him in handcuffs to bring him back and terminate him as soon as we were able to get in touch with him. This is again disgraceful. Now, when you talk about his background, there's nothing in his background. All he did was promote in this office. So we had no signs of him possibly going to be doing anything to some child, because I can tell you it would have been dealt with. And it's hurtful to me that we even having this conversation again when we should be focused on the victims that have went through such a harsh, unthinkable crime, and making sure we get them justice and focus on the case and the crime itself.
Can you tell us more about your relationship with Dennis Perkins?
I have no official complaint, but I was told that there was a complaint. We trying to verify, and that complaint was on this incident that involved this officer, same incident, and it was actually closed and found and was unfounded. No crime occurred and no inappropriate activity occurred, according to DCFS. Now, I haven't read the report. That's completely from my investigators having a conversation, and that was brought to us. Other than that, I have no official report, and DCFS is going to be very careful of releasing any information. Again, y'all understand, we're talking about kids of juvenile age here, which is a very, very confidential type investigation. Look, my heart goes out to them. I'm a father, and I can't even begin to imagine what they have to be going through. This is a very hurtful situation for them, and it's my job as a sheriff to make sure that we do everything we can to assist the Attorney General, which we have been doing and we will continue to do to make sure that Dennis Perkins and his wife get what they got coming to them. This is a monstrous act that they would do upon these kids, what they have done. Right now we know there's a child involved. It may be other children involved. We don't know. But at the end of the day, that's my job as sheriff, is to help these victims get justice. And it will be done. It will be done. I don't want to talk to Dennis Perkins right now. And I have nothing to to safety.
Which
You had to explain them. I mean, I'm not going to pick on the accent. Say that again, please. Mhm. Well, when you have an official complaint, even if you have an official complaint on file, everything's allegations. And so even when you're doing a criminal investigation, if I arrest someone for doing any crime, I still have to go through that investigation and make sure that the allegations are true, or at least they're factual. And so that is a broad policy. But he was terminated, obviously, for the accident he occurred. He has warrants on him. I've seen enough with my own eyes looking through that file of the Attorney General to know that he needed to be terminated immediately. And he needed to be put in jail. So, again, that's why he's where he's at.
Can you tell the public about your relationship between Dennis Perkins and yourself? How do y'all know each other? Are y'all in high school?
Yeah, I will answer that question, and we'll end with that if you don't mind. Look, I know a lot of people has talked about the comment I made about friends and family. Let me tell you something. Everybody that works for me usually is a friend, and they are considered an LPSO family member. And and he was, but he betrayed us. He is a criminal. He did criminal acts, is what he did. And so I have a relationship with all of my deputies. And so this is a time of betrayal to my office. This is someone we had high respect for, high regards for. He wouldn't have been where he was at. He was a lieutenant at my office. He was someone that not only me, but a lot of people in the community trusted. And that's what we try to do each and every day, is we go out here, we serve and protect our community, because people trust us, and they will continue to trust us. I am their sheriff. I will continue to be their sheriff, and we'll continue to do our job like we do each and every day. This guy was a friend, and right now he is a criminal, and I am ashamed of what he did, and he should be ashamed of what he did too. It's a very harsh act what he did. And again, I want to talk about the victims and what this thing is really about, and I hope that after today that we can refocus on that and make sure that who gets the attention that is needed. And I truly appreciate your time, and thank you for coming out and giving me the opportunity to give my message out to everybody. So thank you.
So there has been a lot of backlash and a lot of talk about what the charges are and what's going on and how much has actually been shoved under the rug. This is one of the comments that I came across, and I wanted you guys to see what it is that we are dealing with. I don't know if it's true, everything listed in these comments, but I do know where there's smoke, there's fire. And for 15 years, people have been trying to get this man away from innocent victims, and it just now happened. So I am going to put this comment right here, and you can tell me what you think. makes me wonder what's going on in this parish. Doesn't give me very much confidence in the safety of our police officers, that's for sure.